So we've already mentioned it a little bit, but I think it's time to move on to the idea of experience, the IDP. So there's been for a long time the Intern Development Program, IDP, and it's gone through a couple of changes we've started to mention. And I'm going to put up here the list. It's you don't really need to go through it too closely because it's just sort of, for now, we're just going to sort of talk about it conceptually. But you can see there's this list of different areas where you need to get work done. So this is in pre-design here, then there's a design area, and then project management, and then practice management. And then there's hours for each of these, and then eventually a sort of total number down at the bottom. And this is that thing where as an intern architect, you're working for a licensed architect directly underneath the licensed architect. And from that, that licensed architect is signing off on the hours that you've done, and it's sort of a way of making sure that you're getting a reasonably wide experience level.
Yes, that's true. When I did my, quote, apprenticeship, there was none of this curriculum, as it's called, that NCARB has created. And so you could be working in a firm doing the same thing over and over and over again. I knew people that were kind of stuck in the design area forever because they were pretty good designers, but they never got experience in doing anything else. And so by the time they finished their apprenticeship and ready to take the exam, they were not very well experienced in the things that the exam concentrates on, which is a lot of practical kind of knowledge. And so they typically had a hard time passing the exam in that situation. So NCARB realized that, and that's when they created this curriculum for interns that's more broadly based. Now there is a tremendous amount of time that is scheduled in here for what they call construction documents. That's roughly about a third of the total. And that's where most of the work in an architectural office takes place, in creating the construction documents for permitting and bidding and construction. It's probably not the most glamorous area of practice. It's something that many architects try to avoid if they can, because they'd rather do the fun stuff. There's also a lot of time involved here in what they call practice management, business operations, and construction administration. And that kind of, the practice management includes leadership and service, which is basically volunteer work, not necessarily done within in fact, it's not allowed to be done within the office. It has to be done outside of the office. But we can talk about that later. But there are areas that many times, especially in large firms, you are not allowed to get experience in. The business operations, managing the firm itself, is something that you almost have to get experience by observation rather than by participation. Because as an intern, you probably aren't going to be given the responsibility to schedule your peers, with work that is assigned to them. But you will certainly observe how your boss is going to be scheduling those people. And that's the kind of way that they allow you to have that experience.
Right. People, I remember when IDP was first being mandated and people were kind of upset that, is one more bureaucratic hurdle that we have to go through, and all of that. But as you say, the big advantage of IDP is that it actually gives the interns a way to talk to their employers and to say, I really need to have experience on the job site, or I need to have experience sitting in on a client meeting, or because I have to get my IDP. And so while it is a bureaucratic hurdle that you have to get through, it's also a really useful tool for making sure you're getting a wide range of experiences.
Yes, because once you're licensed, you can go off on your own, start your own firm, and you need to have that kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
I remember there was one case. I do a lot of lectures at universities to students that are about ready to graduate usually. And one student came up to me after the session. This was at a local college here in Illinois. A student came up to me afterwards and he said that he was going to start a firm as soon as he graduated. And I said, how are you going to do that? He says, I'm going to hire an architect to be my architect, and I'm going to run the firm. Apparently he had connections, some kind of, and I said, You won't be able to get any IDP experience that way because you have to be working for the firm to get the internship experience. But he was crestfallen because this is his goal. This is his idea.
I love it. I think that's great, actually.